bonjour, and welcome to the Amateur Detective Club. This club is exactly how it sounds. A bunch of amateurs talking about their favorite mysteries. So if you encounter a real mystery or a murder, contact the proper authorities. Do not come to us. We do not know what we are doing. But enjoy the program. Allons-y. Let us begin.
Good evening. I now call this meeting of the amateur. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? I just said good evening. You ruined it. I'm just trying to start the podcast, and you're laughing.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Good evening. I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to order. My name is Tristan Miller, the Saucy Sleuth.
And I, Melissa Meli, the spy.
Today's show you can listen to on the Scavengers Network. You can go to scavengersnetwork.com and check out all the finery they have there. Podcasts, video content, all sorts of weird little things. Check it out. If you like this enough to give us money, go to patreon.com/adcpod. We try to post the episodes early. Sometimes we don't, because our life is weird. I'm Ira Glass, and this is American. this is American Life.
You can find us on social media at ADCPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Shaking it up. We're not like other podcasts. We do the plugs up front because we will forget about them. What? What about the good evening got you? Like, you just weren't expecting it? What was it?
It was just very serious.
Oh, yeah. I can be serious.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
It's true.
But I don't like to be.
No.
It's kind of boring. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk to you about Star Trek, I guess. Normally we talk more at the top of the show to just kind of say hi, hello, but
We've covered everything.
Yeah, we have no new things happening ever.
No, not at all. But what's really exciting about this is it is not yet 9 p.m.
Hell yeah. So we're better.
Yeah. We're getting there.
When you were in preschool,
Oh.
did you ever sing a song that goes, hi, hello, and how are you? How are you?
Maybe.
Because when I was working at Kids Club, we would. And I was always wondering, I always wondered what was, branded content for that. And what was just, there's a nursery rhyme,
I only have very vague memories of preschool. And one that was just a story that was told to me about me later that I have repeated because... Okay, I guess I'm going to tell it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just say that. I'll give you a story that I was told when I was a little kid.
Great, yeah.
After this, and then I have another thing I want to talk about. It came to me.
Apparently, one day I went into my nursery school when I was 3 years old, and I said, I'm so aggravated.
Ideal.
Yeah.
I have a similar story, and this is because of Star Wars. Star Wars teaches you a lot of big words.
Sure.
We were doing some task, and I said, yes, and that gives us an advantage. And my mom, and I was like 8, and she was like, where did you, I'm like, Qui-Gon says it in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Did I use the word wrong? And she's like, no, but it's weird to hear an 8-year-old say, yes, this gives us a distinct advantage. But when I was 4 or whatever, and everyone thought this was so funny at the time, but then eventually it became mortifying. I had bathed one way or the other. And rather than wrap myself in a towel, all our relatives were over, I just decided I'm going to run fully buck naked to my room as one does as a child.
Yeah.
But rather than go try to sneak, just do it so fast, I shouted as loud as I could, "Don't look at me!" Which that's a mood.
It is.
That is exactly my entire personality, is doing something embarrassing in public and then shouting, "Don't look at me." That's my whole vibe as a human
great.
being. Yeah. The other thing that came into mind, I've been watching Terrace House.
Yes, you have.
And you have never seen the show, correct?
I've seen a few minutes of one episode, maybe.
Why
Or-
only that?
I don't know.
Okay. You
It's
weren't
not-
like, ew.
No,
The
not.
Japanese. I'm racist.
Oh,
and
goodness.
Melissa.
Certainly not that. No, I think
How
it
come
was
adding
just.
the in front of any ethnic group makes it sound worse.
I think it's because historically, when people have said it that way, it has been meant worse.
It also does dehumanize a group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're like, even if you're like the English, it has like the British. It still seems mean and demeaning. Or like if you're like the Dutch, and you're like, wait, why are you mad at the Dutch? But anyway,
Well,
sorry.
No, I'm kidding. My stepfather is Dutch.
So you can say it.
Yeah.
I talked over the reason you didn't get into Terrace House, and I want to actually get a answer before we forget and move on.
I think I just was not in the right mode to start it at the time. Yeah, sometimes I've gotten better about this. But, sometimes I'm just not focusing.
Sorry, what were you saying? I wasn't paying attention.
Oh. Yeah, and so I won't really start a show. Like, I've seen one episode of Fleabag, and I know it's very good. I have heard all good things, and I watched the one, and I'm like, I'll get to it later.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking to someone who still hasn't seen any of Ted Lasso season 2. Just because I've not been in the mood.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's just like I don't want this right now. And it's nothing wrong with the show. The ending has been spoiled for me, quote unquote. Or I know the ending and I think it's a great choice and I love it very much.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's good storytelling and I'm like,
yeah,
cool, I'm interested to see how that goes. Because a lot of people are very upset when they learn something about a thing they haven't watched yet.
Yeah.
I'm generally not one of those people.
I will still watch it. I won't get like indignant and like, well, forget this then.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's a bad attitude to have.
Because I also like seeing how a thing plays out.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a spoiler for the first episode of Ted Lasso? Like the first 3 minutes of it that
Ted dies, if you can believe it.
that you'll have to cut out because just in case.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'm
gonna bleep it out.
Great. So
today we're talking about Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 2, Episode 8.
Mm-hmm.
Necessary Evil.
Yes.
This came out a number of years ago.
1993.
I'm going to cut that out because I don't want anyone to know. I was redacted years old.
That's right. We're both 26.
Yep. Forever. Never not. Here's the thing. I've never not been 26. I came out of my mother's womb a 26-year-old.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's why I screamed, "Don't look at me," because I knew as I came out of the birth canal, "Don't look at me, don't look at me. I'm hideous. I'm hideous."
Yep. So we open on...
That's such a good burn. This motherfucker has such low self-esteem that out of the birth canal they said, "Don't look at me." That's a good slam. I'm going to try and remember that. Anyway. Whew.
So we open on like a really fantastic room. Very, not noir, but what, gothic feeling? I don't know. Because it's very like dark and stormy night, gauzy curtains.
I would call it American Gothic.
Yeah.
American Gothic, but it is also in the style of a noir. The dialogue is, this whole episode is.
Yeah.
In the style of a noir. And it's also specifically this scene is.
Oh my goodness.
And
there are candles everywhere. She's wearing, okay, so there's a Bajoran woman we've never met before wearing a really cool jumpsuit.
Yeah.
She's wearing like a bodysuit with like a cape.
Yeah,
It's real. It's here. I'm rewinding so you can see. Tristan and I are watching this on iPad for a moment.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, she has the Elsa costume on.
Basically.
It's Elsa's costume that she transforms. She has that kind of cape. Except
Yep.
for she has pants, maybe? I thought
Yeah,
it was
it's
a dress
pants.
initially.
Yeah, I just noticed. Her hair is very done up. But they are on Bejor in her home.
I hardly know her.
And she is talking to Quark. This might be the only time Quark goes to Bejor in the series. Is that right? I don't know. Someone who knows Star Trek better than me.
I feel like it can't be right, but it must be. Because I can't think of another instance of him doing it.
He goes to Ferenginar and I think to Kronos even.
He does go to Kronos.
Yeah. Yeah. But we see him on Bejor.
I would love to see a Ferengi and a Klingon fall in love.
Well, I mean, it almost happens. There's like a whole Casanova episode where Quark tries to win back his ex-wife, his Klingon ex-wife, and
I know.
Worf is like telling him what to say.
Oh, it's Cyrano.
Yes, Cyrano, not Casanova. That's right.
Yeah, I don't remember that. So I had a memory that I repressed, and then now I wished for something that already exists. Happens all the time.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a fun episode.
I remember, now that you mention it, I remember really liking Quark's my favorite character. Worf is my favorite character. Of course, I like that episode.
Yeah.
I like the weirdos. I like people that don't make sense within a social group.
This
my
woman,
favorite character, he's so fun.
This woman is talking to Quark about a couple of years ago. Her husband was killed.
Murdered, if you can believe it.
Murdered. And she says to him, listen, can you go get this thing that's in Deep Space Nine, like in the wall or whatever? Can you like get this package for him and deliver it to me? I'll give you some latinum. And very suggestively implies she might do some other stuff for him, and he like rubs his ears, which is a Ferengi erogenous zone,
which is like weird to, like I was thinking about that when it happened. She like some sort of sexual favor is implied, and then he touches his ears, which is an erogenous zone, which is like if someone were to suggest that like, hey, I'll do so, and then you were to like grope yourself or or gently touch your, and I'm like, what a pervert.
So it's really interesting because they get away with so much ear touching on this show. Because there's lots of times when someone's trying to manipulate Quark in particular, most of the time, but other Ferengis on this show as well, where they'll just go up and rub their ears, and it's like, are they having an actual orgasm right now? Like, I feel like we got away with a lot because their ears.
I think so too. I also think that like physiologically, it's fundamentally different.
Yes, it
in
is.
as much as like the reason the ears are erogenous zones is because their ears are incredibly sensitive in general. So if you like yell into them, they can't handle it.
Right.
But it is also very strange.
Yes.
It is a very weird thing. Weird horny Star Trek is back. It's erotic.
Okay. Okay. All right. Eventually, we'll get through the first 2 minutes of this show.
So
should we start over?
No, I don't think we should start over, but like, let me take the wheel for a second. So they're having a conversation. She says, hey, my dead husband has something hidden away in Deep Space Nine in the store that used to be the chemical store. It was the chemists. Now it is Garrick's clothing shop. I need you to go sneak in 3 panels over, 5 up. There is a compartment. I just remembered it.
Okay.
Where you can cut through it, and there's a box. I need you to bring the box to me. Do not open the box. Just bring it to me, and I'll give you 5 bars of latinum for this, and maybe tug you off.
Maybe I'll rub your ears a little bit.
Sure. And then he goes, sounds like a good deal, sweetie. And then he beams back up to DS9.
Yeah, he says, I'll have it done in a day or 2.
Yeah, but
and after Quark is gone, a Bajoran man appears from around a corner, and a light flashes.
Yeah, because there's thunder and lightning because there's a storm and her power has gone out. And that's why it's so dramatic, and that's why there are candles everywhere. And the whole scene, the dialogue is really fun because it is such like a noir sort of thing. And they finish each other's sentences. It's all very ooh. And it's a very, very fun scene. And both the actors knock it out of the park.
Oh yeah, it's great. Armin Shimmerman,
he knows exactly what he's doing.
Is so good as Quark. So good as Quark. So then we're back at Deep Space Nine. And we're talking to Odo.
Odo is there.
Odo's doing his log.
Odo is doing his first security report log, which Benjamin Sisko has requested he start doing. He hasn't been doing them up until this point.
Right. Yes.
And he's like, I don't understand why humans have to write everything down. I remember things just fine, but here we go. And so he's basically not exactly kvetching about it, but like they're setting up that he's going to have a monologue for the rest of the episode, basically.
Right. So he can do his noir thing, basically,
yes.
Essentially.
Yeah. It's not clumsy, but it is like, okay, we get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Quark then is connecting with his brother Rom.
Connecting. They're bonding.
Yeah.
Brotherly. It's a brother.
Meeting. You know how you connect with someone, sometimes you're just meeting them like, I connected with them in the airport.
I will say I make a connecting flight in the
I
airport.
don't know.
I'll say I'll connect with you about this if it's a business meeting. I would never say to my sibling, we should connect over Mom's birthday. I'd be like, you're not wrong, but it was fascinating. Just because he's his brother. That's it. He's talking to his brother.
Sometimes a synonym comes to my mind for something that does have a better word, but that's the one that happens first. So Rom, we talked about in our last episode.
Yes.
That he was a completely different character when he was first introduced in Deep Space Nine. And then this is much more his...
Because he literally starts talking like this. Like, it's very interesting.
It's not quite his final vocal inflection, but it's much closer.
Yeah, it's not quite his final form.
Right.
But they're sneaking into the shop, right?
Mm-hmm. They are.
And Quark says, keep lookout. I'm going to hack the security system. And basically Rom is like, I can do it faster than you. He's like, why? Because sometimes I have to get into the storeroom when you're not there. I can do it in 10 seconds. He goes, you break into the storeroom and you can do it in 10 seconds. Like, you're gone a lot, actually. So I have to do it a lot.
Yeah.
And Quark gets very upset because then it later accuses his brother of stealing from him.
Yeah.
Which is like so indicative of Quark. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that moment because I wanted to hear your thoughts about this. I feel like we all know someone who projects their own personality flaws onto everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And this is why I love Quark, because he is so aware of his own flaws, his own conniving nature, that he assumes everyone else is that way.
Yes. I also think that this is a common Ferengi culture thing.
Yes.
Like, a lot of brothers would steal from.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, very driven by money and profit. That is the story we get from this show. So, they get the box, and Quark is like, great, I'm going to open it.
I gotta see what's in there. Morgan Freeman goes, don't open that box.
Oh, yeah.
And then Brad Pitt goes, what's in the box? What's in the box?
Right.
We've all seen that movie.
Mm-hmm. Quark comes out into the bar and is met by the man who had appeared out of the shadows, the Bajoran man, in the previous scene. Yeah. And he has a phaser.
Yeah.
And he says, yeah, she knew you weren't going to be able to resist reading it. And then the guy phasers Quark and gets the list and gets out of there.
Yeah,
and
because there's a piece of paper in the box.
Yeah, did we not say?
No.
Okay, it was a piece of paper with a list of names on it.
Yes, there's a piece of paper with a list of names on it. And also right before, this is again further the noir theme of this episode. The guy with the phaser goes, I'm sorry. And Quark goes, yeah, me too. And then he gets shot and thrown across the room.
Oh, yeah, it's...
Point blank range. What would normally be a deadly shot, except for the fact that he's a main character.
Exactly. But Rom comes in screaming that his brother is dead, and even more so later in the series, but we do find out that Rom is a pretty soft-hearted guy.
Yeah.
Very caring, very unlike most Ferengi.
He forms a union.
Yes.
He's not Ferengi-minded at all.
No.
I like Rom a lot.
Yeah, Rom is great. Did you know, so here's the fun bit of trivia.
Ooh, a
So
trivia from me.
There is a baseball episode,
Yes.
right, called Take Me Out to the Holosuite.
Yes.
And part of the story is that Rom is terrible at it, but Ridley wants to play. Max Grodenchik, who plays Rom, was the best baseball player on
great.
in the entire cast, and he couldn't manage to play badly enough. He had to use his opposite hand.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
It's a really fun episode.
That is, I think, DS9 does. I think DS9 does. I wouldn't necessarily holodeck episodes, but one-offs better than any of the other series.
Okay.
Where we're just doing here's a gimmick, and
I
that's
buy
the
that.
whole thing, because there's more to pull from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at a certain point, Miles and Julian start doing war reenactments,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
gets pretty wild.
They talk about the war reenactments, but we don't really see the war reenactments. We do see them do Vic Fontaine stuff, and
forgive me, I'm thinking of a different thing. Not the war reenactments is DS9, but I completely disagree with the thing I just said. The best holodeck episodes are, in fact, Voyager again. Mea culpa. They do some wild things that I'm looking forward to hearing your viewing experience about.
Okay. All right.
Sorry to interrupt what you're saying. Will you please continue with
That's okay. Anyway, it's just really fun that I love that he was just so good at it. But it's wild that they didn't try to use it more in the episode.
You would think that they would have been okay, so in the middle of the episode, all of a sudden Rom gets good.
Yeah.
Does he get good at any point during that?
No.
No, which sucks. That's the thing you're expecting. And what you want.
Right.
Why wouldn't they let him do that?
It's still a very fun episode, but
For sure.
Yeah, why wouldn't they let him do that? And there's other certain things that certain members of the cast were really good at that they just didn't. Or Julian, for instance, in that episode. So Bashir is genetically altered, and they don't even make him be a great baseball player or anything, which is weird because he's, they're always talking about how he has to stand further away from the dartboard.
You'd think the same thing would apply to pitching.
Yeah. Anyway, but Avery Brooks has a nice singing voice, and they do make use of that a couple times in the series.
And he plays the piano really well.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think they use that part, but
I don't think they do either.
they do have him sing a couple times, though. So we go to... we're somehow, I think, in sick bay now, and Bashir has gotten him up. No, we're still in the bar. What is this space? It's too light. It's okay. It's part of the bar, but this part of the bar, it's too light to feel like it's actually Quark's.
Okay, so that part of the bar, since it's at an up angle, you're seeing the fluorescent lights that are above the bar, that light behind the bar.
Yeah.
And also the reason it's contrasted with the rest of the bar is because since it's after hours, none of the other lights are on. So it seems brighter than it normally would.
It's super strange. Like
yeah.
I just watched this series and I'm like, where are they?
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's an angle that we've never seen before, and I don't think ever see again.
no, I mean I recognize it from now, like a certain angle, but like yeah, it was lit in such a way that I'm like, where is this?
It's
Are
very
we
strange.
in sick bay? No. Okay, so they've gotten to because Bashir is standing over Quark and he's asking Rom questions and saying, you know, who's this person? What kind of phaser was this? And, you know, trying to figure out how to treat him. And he's like, okay, this is all consistent. Great. We got to get him to surgery because otherwise he'll die. So Odo is in detective mode and he's asking.
What is he?
Yeah. He kind of at the end, like he's always head of security, but he kind of falls out of like very detective-y mode, but it also this episode is especially
very detective-y.
Very detective-y.
Very hard-boiled detective. Very I've seen some things.
Yeah.
You know. See, if you give Odo an Irish accent, you do get Liam Neeson.
Yeah. Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
a particular set of skills, and that's changing into different things.
So he's quizzing is the new name for interviewing, or grilling, even interrogating. Yeah,
he's raking Rom over the coals, if you can believe it.
Yeah, and wow, look at that angle. It's just he looks so much taller than him.
Yeah, that's because they have both of those on the two actors in they're on boxes.
Oh yeah.
And they've done a really good job. There's a couple moments Melissa's just commented on a shot because, you know, Ferengi are shorter than humans. Mm-hmm. And so they have them towering over Rom while they're interrogating him. There's a couple beautiful shots where Odo leans in to frame and leans out of frame.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
I feel like they don't keep it like this for the rest of the series.
Not as much. No. It's kind of like how in Fellowship of the Ring, a huge fuss is made about like how small the hobbits are.
Yeah.
And then you kind of forget it by Two Towers.
Yeah.
Because they're not interacting with anyone else who's a normal size.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, wait a minute, actually.
Right, yeah. No, I think that maybe part of the reason that Rom hunches a bit. He hunches through the whole series, you know, after the initial episode where he's doing nothing similar to what he's doing now. But I think maybe it was born out of trying to look shorter. Whereas Quark always holds himself as tall as he can, but he's not a particularly tall man.
He is not. I'm going to look up his exact height. Because he might be who Randy Newman is singing about.
Yes. So Odo's trying to get information out of Rom, and Rom is telling him pretty much what happened. Eventually, he does come out with the whole story. But at first, he's trying to protect his brother and not reveal what the man stole from him.
But eventually, Odo gets it out of him.
Yeah.
And Odo also brings up, initially, his tactic is to make Rom feel worried that he is suspected because the brother would inherit the bar.
Yes.
And so he's like, no, I wouldn't. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb goes off in Rom's mind, and he goes, oh, I could have this bar?
Yeah.
I could be successful?
Yeah.
And so we kind of get an attitude shift from Rom there. Armin Shimmerman is 5'6", so not that short, actually. Like a below average height for a man, but not like Danny DeVito size.
Right. No.
I expected him to be like 5'3", 5'4".
Oh, really? No, 5'6" sounds about right for what I thought. He also he carries himself tall in the show.
He does.
So yeah.
He also gets a couple extra inches because of the head, the giant head they put on my man.
Yes. So now Odo understands what this guy was looking for.
Yeah.
That when he phasered Quark, and he realizes it's about this murder investigation that he looked into.
When he was, when the Cardassians were still occupying Bajor.
Yeah.
And the reason he figures this out is he goes, this is the chemist shop. This is the shop where it was. And he goes, oh, this used to be the chemist shop. And there's a really freaking cool transition where he puts in the code to open the door and it opens and then it's a flashback. I was like, nice. Well done.
Yeah.
The language of cinema.
Who directed this episode?
I'll check.
Thanks. But yes, so we're in a flashback now, and we see Odo walking in for a meeting that was requested by Gul Dukat, the former head of the station.
Former, current in the flashback.
Yes. Former real-time, current in flashback. And Gul Dukat is a Cardassian, basically a government leader of the Cardassians, who controlled the station before, and the Cardassians and the Bajorans had been in a terrible war where the Cardassians were really oppressing the Bajorans and trying to take over their entire planet.
So this is directed by James L. Conway.
Okay.
Who has directed for Next Generation, Voyager, DS9, Enterprise, and most recently, The Orville, which is perfect.
All of that tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So he's a vet.
Mm-hmm. You know how Star Trek do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. So Gul Dukat in this scene is asking Odo, who is, as we mentioned in the last episode, if you listened, a shapeshifter.
He's a little goo boy. He's made of goo.
Right.
He's like, you remember Gak?
Yes.
He's Gak.
He's Gak.
He's Gak.
Odo
is Gak.
So Gul Dukat wants Odo to investigate this murder.
Yes, because he figures a shapeshifter would be a good investigator because you can get in anywhere, look like other people, etc., etc. Currently, Odo has recently broken his bonds of being an entertainment piece for the Cardassians and the Bajorans by being forced to shapeshift into different stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, they have him as a circus freak. And then he ran away from that and is now living on the station.
Right. And Dukat thinks that the Bajorans will also talk to him more willingly because he is not a Cardassian.
That is also true.
Yeah.
Have you seen the fan-made poster of Keeping Up with the Cardassians?
No.
It's very good.
Yeah. Of course, I think about it all the time. Like the fact that the name sounds so similar.
It does. It sounds so similar, and I had a hard time taking them seriously because of it at the beginning of this show. I was like, yeah, okay. Where's Kim K? Where is she?
Well, I feel like my biggest introduction to them, I think we had met them before, but was in the TNG episode where they torture Picard.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I always forget that's them.
Uh-huh.
They're mean.
Yeah.
They're like very bad, in fact.
The government, of course. The citizens,
Yeah, I mean, how complicit are citizens in what the government does?
It's too late to interrogate that. And this is not the venue.
This is, I know. Don't talk. We both have degrees in performing arts. Don't talk.
I have a degree in psychology, too.
I know, but that's not political science, is it?
It's something.
It is something. It's certainly more than I have. I have no book learning. I have street smarts. I know how. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to type. Anyway, but yeah, no, you're absolutely more well educated than I am. But I know where to grab a snake in case so it doesn't bite you. Do you know how to hypnotize a bird, Melissa?
I don't know how to hypnotize a bird.
If you grab a bird, you put its little head between your pointer and your middle finger, and you turn it upside down, it will zone out and just like let you do whatever you want to it. And like that's how they like put the little bands around it.
Oh, okay.
And like if it has something caught, it's generally used for good. Like for tracking tags, and then you can literally just throw the bird into the air. It'll wake up and fly away. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty sick.
Looks like I'm in the sky.
Pretty much.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is. You never had a chicken on your head? I know how to get a chicken to stay on my head. What are you doing with your life? Fight me. So, Gul Dukat is like, hey, man, investigate this crime, and I'll rub your ears. And Odo goes, I don't have ears.
These are fake, and they're not even very good.
Very bad at everything.
Not good at ears.
He always looks like he's about to sneeze.
Oh, sure.
He's so concentrated all the time. And it must be the makeup, must be the prosthetics they gave him.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, there's a murder that he wants to investigate. And so the first person he goes to is the widow of the deceased.
Right. The woman we met in the opening scene.
Yes, whose hair is different. It's a different color.
That's how you can tell
Time is
it's the past.
Yeah.
Yes. Her hair is brown in this one.
Yeah. And basically, she's like, yes, my husband was sleeping with someone, and I suspect that she killed him.
Right.
And Oda goes, calling malarkey on that. You haven't even been crying. And she's like, I've been in such shock. And he's like, no. What's really going on here? Mm-hmm. And then what does she say? See, I did a great job up into that. But basically, she goes, no. I want you to see the person. The crying thing really doesn't have any bearing on it. He just points out that Odo's observant, to be honest. But they go see who this mistress is. Yep. And of course, it's Kira.
Right.
Who is in a terrible wig.
Right.
Just her hair is piled so high, and it's way more red than it is in real life. It's like, ugh.
So in this particular season of Deep Space Nine, Kira's hair is very short.
Yes.
In present day.
Yeah, it really is.
So she's got a long,
big old wig. Big old nasty hairpiece. We should call wigs hairpieces even if they're on women, I think that's feminism. That's equality.
Interesting stance to take. So we flash forward, I guess.
Present day.
Yeah.
And
we get some more Odo in his office doing his log. Except that it's actually him talking to Rom.
Dropping a log. Hey, oh, gross.
He doesn't have to do that.
No, he doesn't. And what I would give to not have to do that.
Well, he also doesn't drink any beverages, as he makes clear to Quark later in this.
What I would do to not have to eat or drink or poop or pee or breathe. And I could just do what I wanted to do all the time. Ugh.
So Odo is interrogating Rom again and gets him to picture the list when it came out of the wall and comes up with a name.
Yeah, when they got the list out of the box, the idea of it like... Sorry, the image you put in my head is like pulling it out like a magician.
Like a magician,
scarf.
yeah.
It just keeps going on.
I cannot do a Quark impression, and it just came out like Adam Sandler.
Oh, what's that?
So he thinks the name is Chesso.
Yes.
First name on the list.
With an apostrophe.
Mm-hmm. Right. So he tells him, call me day or night if you think of anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Then he has a little chat with Kira. And she's trying to remember if she knows anyone with that name.
And she's like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
I'll give her this. Kira does look like really nervous this whole episode. She's very intense in this episode.
Yeah.
A lot of brisk walking. A lot of West Wing energy from her girl Kira in this one.
Well, Kira, I feel like, is always
She's at a 10 most of the time.
walking with intention.
Yeah. She's always
I don't think she's particularly over the top. But
no,
like,
that does not. I mean,
Okay.
she is at a 10 energy. She is a very intense character.
yes, she's an intense character
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So we then flash back again to the days of yore. Yes, we're flashback. We have long hair Kira again.
The days of you're enslaved because we're the Cardassians and we suck.
Yeah, basically. So then we have Odo sitting down with Kira, and he starts the conversation with, pretty girl like you shouldn't be eating alone, and she basically tells him to buzz off.
Which is correct and
Yes.
right. And also another very noir thing, which I thought was very fun.
Yeah. And she doesn't take any guff from anybody. So he sits down and he says, let me start over.
Yeah, I really put my goo in it. I
Yeah.
put my goo in my goo hole.
Ew.
No.
I would just like to say ew.
Foot in my mouth is what that was. But when I said, I was like, it's not a mouth. What is it?
Right. Yeah. So she's saying, Odo is saying to Kira that the wife said that Kira was having an affair with her husband, and Kira says, nah, I think I got some tea from the guy once.
But I'm new in town.
Yeah. If he was attracted to me, then that's his business, but nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you should look elsewhere.
And he's like, well, where were you before? She goes, I was on Bajor working some job. And he goes, you can't leave those jobs. They're mandatory. And she goes, I punched somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, why? Because it's like, because I was trying to do the thing that I thought you were going to do, which is solicit some sort of service from her.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, okay, never mind then. And now she doesn't work in the slums with the rest of a lot of the Bajorans. She has like a room. You know, she's not in the camps, as it were.
Yeah.
Which is like context for that is important later, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so basically she's like, nope. And he goes, you're lying, I think, but fine, whatever. I'm going to dip.
Yeah. And she says last night when the murder happened, she was at the bar.
Yep. I was at the bar.
So.
And so
That's her alibi.
Yep.
So we're back in present day, and Odo is asking the murdered man's wife,
Oh, right.
why would your husband have a list of names?
She's like, I don't know a dang thing about it.
Yep.
And basically that's the whole conversation is she just denies. And he's like, okay.
Right.
But then he gets to pull a Columbo.
Mm.
He gets to the door and he goes, I'm sorry, one more thing.
Yeah.
Which is very fun. And he goes, your power was out
Mm-hmm.
because you couldn't make the power payment. And then yesterday, all of a sudden the power's back because you were able to wire the money. Where'd that money come from? And she's like, basically, that's none of your business. And he goes, it is because I'm investigating a murder and I have a warrant.
Yeah.
But basically, she's like, don't worry about it.
She says that her friend gave her the money
Mm-hmm.
and that she can't give him the friend's name because her friend is married.
Which I don't get why that has anything to do with that.
Because she is having sex
Oh,
with
I
her
see.
Yes.
I'm dense.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Not like our gooey boy Odo, who is a liquid.
That's right.
Is he a liquid?
Is he a plasma?
I want to say plasma is like the closest a plasmorphic being.
I think that he is I think we are meant to believe that he is a liquid.
He does live in a bucket.
Mm-hmm. And like the Great Link, when we see it, is
A lake.
yeah, basically.
Loch Link.
It's a lake of beings. Like the water is people or whatever.
You're going to hate what I'm about to say.
Good.
Is it just a pool of nut then? This is all getting very
This is
gross.
terrible.
This is all getting very gross.
So Quark is out of surgery, but he's not conscious yet.
No, he's not. He's just on an operating table. He's chilling.
So Kira has, this is present day, Kira has found Chesso, and she shows Odo like the iPhone with his picture on it.
His dossier, yeah. Yeah.
It's a little.
Yeah, she really pulls out her Galaxy XL and says, look. Okay, here's a fun game. Which crew member of the DS9 uses an iPhone and which one uses an Android?
Okay. So, Kira uses an Android.
For sure, because she wants control over the way she can design a thing.
So does Odo.
Odo, definitely. Julian absolutely uses an iPhone.
100%.
Benjamin Sisko still has a flip phone.
Yeah.
He still has a flip phone because he's like, I just need it for emergencies.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Jadzia Dax has an iPhone.
She absolutely has an iPhone. Either
Yeah.
that or a Sidekick. In my mind, she's like one of those little... They still sell those, by the way.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she absolutely has it. She has an iPhone, but she only uses it in horizontal mode.
Yeah. Worf does not have a cell phone.
He does not. He does not.
No.
He does not. We can all agree he does not. Miles O'Brien has an iPhone, the newest iPhone, constantly.
Yes.
For two reasons. One, he's an engineer.
Yes.
Two, Keiko keeps bothering him about it.
Yes.
Because they have a family plan.
Right.
And she's constantly like, well, if you trade in our old phone, you get the other one cheaper. And it goes like, well, if we just keep the old phone, we don't have to pay for any of them.
No, but he is an engineer. And
He is an engineer and he does like tech. All of the Star Trek characters, I think, are pretty tech savvy. Does Garrick?
Oh, that's
a toughie, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. He has an iPhone and he has a burner phone. Are you fucking kidding
Of course. He has like 3 cell phones.
He has 17 cell phones, all of which have a Google Voice account, but no actual service provider. So he is off the grid.
Yes.
He only uses Wi-Fi to call. He does not have cell service.
Quark has an iPhone.
Quark has an iPhone, yes.
Rom has an Android.
Rom has an Android. Quark has a rose gold iPhone.
Yes.
But yes, absolutely, Rom is an Android user.
Yes.
And so is Nog, and he hates it because what's Ben's kid's name again?
Jake.
Jake has an iPhone.
Jake has an iPhone.
Loves it so much. And
yeah.
This is fun. This is a fun bit. Who else is there?
We're definitely forgetting someone important.
Morn has an iPad. and he uses that to call people because he only FaceTimes. Taking a stretch after that one. Ooh.
Goodness.
This is so funny if you've seen the show, and if you haven't, why are you still listening to this podcast?
I mean, we have tried to kind of explain what happens in Star Trek Deep Space Nine for the people.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chesso, this guy...
If you can believe it, he's a sous chef, and he talk like this. My name is Chesso.
Oh, God.
So, by the way, I got to the point when I was editing it, I started doing the French accent last episode, and I did lose my mind again. I thought it was very fun.
Anyway, so...
I'm making the past.
That is what we all sound like, yep.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out, because Chess is dead. So,
Yeah, he's mad dead.
yeah.
He died, wait for it, last night. He fell into a pond and died.
We have another flashback, and we know that because Quark's up and about. Because in current day, we have Quark.
He's in a coma. He's
in a coma.
full Leia from Last Jedi-ing. And he it cuts to him laughing maniacally. It's so weird. It's such a hard cut. And then he's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Spend some money at the Holoswedes. Buy 2 for 1. And then he walks off. And he does that thing that everyone in the service industry knows, which he's being very polite to a customer. And then immediately his face just shifts into like the most neutral.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's talking to Odo, trying to figure out what his deal is, and Odo is just trying to solve this murder.
Yeah, he's like, I want to speak to the proprietor. And he goes, does he owe you money? No. Are you here to arrest him? No. Then that's me.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It is. So he asks about Kira's alibi.
Yeah.
And
and Quark was like, yeah, she was trying to get a job, and I made us fuck. And it's very bad.
it's very bad.
It's very bad. And Odo doesn't believe it for a minute.
No. And Odo gets very, very mad at Quark.
Yeah. Doesn't he grab him by the lapel?
He does.
And he's like, listen, you. That's basically who Odo is
Yeah. Very serious. 100% serious.
all the time.
Yeah.
Even when he likes someone and he's having fun, he's like,
Yeah. So apparently Kira paid Quark for that alibi.
Yes, which is a very fun thing. And then Gul Dukat emerges from the shadows and he's like, oh, how clever. Even though he's not British, but he sounds British, even though he's not. He does. He's like got that weird Juilliard accent.
Yeah. So he says, oh, sounds like a broken alibi. That's progress. And Odo's like, I will tell you when I have a name.
Yes.
So. And this is a very good Gul Dukat character moment.
Mm-hmm.
He's very full, very confident, very,
Yeah.
look at how he speaks to me kind of thing.
Yeah, he goes, ooh, he's not afraid of nobody, is
Yeah.
he? And Quark is like, hey, we good? Because, like, basically he was bribed to an alibi. That's not good. And basically, Gul Dukat is like, yeah, you'll give me some beer or whatever, and it'll be fine, because
Right.
everything is, Quark's a black market dealer. But yeah, it's also interesting seeing Gul Dukat, like, in his full form, because we see him so often after he's been demoted to whatever he's doing in the Cardassian army, and then also, like, no longer ruling the station. So it's always interesting checking in with him when he's like, yes, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Do you feel in charge?
So Odo reports to Cisco that this woman has, the woman who's,
The widower.
yeah, widow.
Yeah.
The
Widayo.
She's been talking to all these people, and she hasn't talked to, like, just all sorts of weird, like, phone activity.
Yeah, they've tapped
bank
her
activity.
They've tapped her wire, and she's called people she's never called before, like in the last 3 days, that she hasn't called in years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's more money in her bank account. So something's going on.
Yeah.
Because obviously.
Right. Yeah. Super, super strange. So Odo wants Cisco's permission to transport her here so that he can question her. And then we see Bajoran man sitting at the bar having overheard all of this.
Bum, bum, ba-da. Bum, 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 bum.
At first I thought you were doing the Price is Right theme.
Bum, 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 bum. You mean that?
No. Ba-ba-ba-da.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Ba-ba-ba-da. . 。 . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . 。. 。 。 . zoom out from Odo overlooking the promenade.
Oh, and he says something that is justice a sense from my people? I don't know. These people, and it's so corny and funny and good because it's so noir.
Yeah, justice, the humans used to say, was blind.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird.
So we get a cut back to the past.
There's a lot of intercutting between past
a lot. And he's interrogating Kira again. And she's like, all right, listen, yeah, I lied about my alibi. I was asleep alone. Like, the worst alibi.
And he goes, you're lying again. You're bad at lying.
Yeah.
You're very bad at it. Stop doing it.
And she is then confessing to him that she is part of a resistance.
Yes, the Bajorians have formed a small resistance cell to fight back against the Cardassian Empire, and so she came up to sabotage something.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, what a pickle I'm in, because I'm technically working for the other guy.
Well, he says that he's neutral here. He's just interested in justice. But like, if she's guilty, that he has to hand her over to the Cardassians.
Yep.
And so she's saying that she like sabotaged some ore processing something or other.
Mm-hmm.
And like it tracks with something that he knows had happened that night. So he's like, all right. And in the midst of this, after he gets that information out of her, Ducat comes in. And it's like, any progress? And Odo again says, listen, you'll have the information when I have the information. So he's not going to turn her over unless he is sure she's the killer. Like, he doesn't... It sounds like he's taking liking to her anyway.
Yeah.
But also sympathizes with her, like, and her plight.
Yeah.
And so, if it's not the murder, he doesn't care that she did a crime.
Yeah, it's
kind of
his
deal.
business.
Yeah.
He's been asked to investigate this one thing, and that is it.
Yeah. So, it's like, nope, Ducat, this isn't her. I will tell you when I have a name. I am confident this is not her. Cut back to Quark, and there's a guy watching. There's a security guy watching over Quark, and a guy is like, Bajoran comes in and it says, it has a bouquet of flowers, and is like, I just want to give these to Quark, and then he stabs the security guy in the heart, and tries to smother Quark.
Yes, and then Rom comes in
and starts screaming.
The worst noise I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I hate it. And it's consistent. Like, he does it more than once in the series. It's like how Ferengi scream.
Yeah.
And it's just this high-pitched, warbling, awful sound. And it's, like, meant to be. It's a good job, good acting choice, but I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, yeah.
But
it's very difficult to listen to, but Odo comes in. We have saved Quark.
Yeah, he goes, you just saved your brother's life. And then there's a moment of realization Rama has. It's like, oh, I'm not getting the bar.
Yeah.
And then it pans slowly down.
Yeah.
to Quark's face, who begins to smile, which is very good.
Yeah. So Odo and Kira are questioning this. Widow woman.
Walking down the wheat.
And they're asking her about all these people she's been contacting.
I'm sorry, Greta Gerwig's Widow Women.
Sure. But yeah, she says, listen, you're never going to be able to prove that I killed my husband.
'Cause I didn't.
Right. She is doing some other stuff.
Yeah. I'm blackmailing other people, but it has nothing to do with this crime.
Right.
And you can't catch me.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yes, it's interesting that it's bringing this up, but it really has nothing to do with that particular crime.
Yeah.
And so he says that he knows that she didn't kill him. He goes into his office and Kira follows him and she says, "How'd you know?" "How'd you know?" "It was me." Odo realizes he's had a list of 8 collaborators with the Cardassians, and that's what this list was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, Kira had figured out that some of these Bajorans were Cardassian collaborators, and she did indeed kill him.
Yep. The husband, I guess.
Yeah.
The guy from before. Now, do they bring up why the widow wanted the list of people?
I think it's because I didn't quite catch it if they said it, but I think it's just because, she wanted to confirm who they were.
All right.
Like, she didn't fully know who everybody was, so she wanted these names. Or maybe it was just proof. Maybe this list was proof because it was in her husband's handwriting or something. I don't know.
Huh, yeah. But yeah, Kira did it.
She did. She did it all along.
And Odo brings up the point of like, we've been doing this for like a year. Why haven't you told me? And she's like, I thought it would make things weird.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't think it does.
Yeah.
Basically, we're cool. And then it cuts to credits. It's really weird.
It's really an interesting moment. I actually
Yeah.
really like that end moment a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's like, it's good, but it is, it's weird that there's no, because they don't bring it up again.
No.
Do they?
They don't.
You'd think that would be like, if I, like, for example, par exemple, as we said,
Par exemple.
if you had murdered someone I knew, or like, if you had murdered anybody, and I knew about the murder, I was like, hey, have you heard of this? And then, like, years later, you're like, by the way, that was me. I'd be like, what the hell is happening?
Well, okay, I think we have to think of this in the context, right?
Okay.
Because there's a war going on, and even though it wasn't, specifically war-sanctioned battles, like...
Yeah.
So, if we were, say, in Germany, in Nazi Germany times, and
Yeah.
and I'd been like, by the way, Tristan, I did kill that Nazi. You'd be like, huh.
I don't think
seems fine.
I wouldn't be that seems fine. I'd be like, yes.
Right, yeah.
Get rid of him.
Yeah.
Out with him. But yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it would be
that's a good-
surprising, but I don't think you would think less of me. I think you might
No.
think more of
I
me.
would absolutely. What'd you think of this episode?
Yeah. I really like this episode. It's still very early in the series. We still have a lot of character establishment going on, but also it's such a stylized episode too. So we're definitely working within a very particular style. It's a little overwrought at times. Like it could be, 10 minutes shorter than it is.
You know me. I walk out of anything and I say,
Could have been shorter.
Could have been shorter.
But like they drew it out for effect. But it was very interesting the way they did it. I really did. I asked you to look up the director because I thought the way it was directed was quite nice.
Yeah.
Quite well done.
It's also, it's also drawn out because that's how noirs are as well.
Exactly.
And I'd also say it's stylized but not a holodeck episode, which is it's a really nice middle ground of like, oh, I see what they're doing. Like the fact that they give Odo I'm sorry, one more thing.
Yeah.
Is very funny and charming, but it's not like he's in a Sherlock Holmes get up, right?
Exactly.
It's a nice balance.
It is. And I actually think they do it really well. Yeah, it's not a perfect episode. We also get a quite a bit of history of both Odo and Kira. Quark, it's interesting because it starts with Quark, but he's not in most of the episode.
Yeah.
But except in flashback, but he's not as integral to the plot as one might have originally thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really a lot about the Odo Kira relationship and establishing more of that, and they do a really good job of it, and it like the impression of this episode carried with me throughout the entire series, like understanding where these two characters were coming from.
Yeah, 100%. And it also really defines Odo and Kira's relationship together, as well as like them as separate people, which is very, it's really well done character building. And it makes sense that it comes in the like first chunk of season 2.
Yeah.
It feels that way, and it's a solid episode. I like it, and this is coming from someone. I would say this is when Odo is at his best. This is when I like him the most, because they get into this whole kind of woo-woo thing with him maybe going back to his people, which are a big glob of membrane. It's just a bunch of pudding. It's a lake full of pudding. It's a bunch of Jell-O.
Very reductive.
Yes. But they're on a high horse and think they're better than anybody else, so they can kick rocks.
Yeah.
No, they can't because they're goo.
Well,
anyway.
if they transform into a rock kicking,
you know what's messed
device.
up? When they go to the Great Lake, what's really messed up is the ship lands on like an island, and they're the island. Do you ever think about that?
Yes.
Isn't that weird?
Yes.
That's gross, right?
I mean, I don't want to go so far as to say an entire people is gross.
They're fictional, Melissa. They're fictional. They're not real. It's just a bunch of gack.
It's hard to think about.
It's weird. It's weird to... And that's a fun thing, obviously about sci-fi is you're like given a concept of like, we have no idea how this would work at all.
Yeah, exactly. And right, yeah, that's a very heady concept to think about.
But yeah, so I like Odo when he's like a detective and when he's like biffing with Quark, and like this is certainly this is one of the most palatable Odo episodes for me.
I have trouble with the shapeshifters or the founders or whatever you want to call them as well. I have a bit of trouble with that storyline as well as the storyline about the prophets.
It's a little much.
Yeah, and when I say the founders, not in terms of where they come in the war later for our Star Trek people that are listening to this, because they absolutely make sense there. It's Odo's relationship to them that I get a little bit like, all right, I don't love where this is going. I just don't like where it takes his character, I think is what I'm saying.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and similarly with the prophet stuff, I don't love where it takes Sisko's character.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Those are my big criticisms about Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I think.
The lighting, too dark. I can't see anything.
Also that, which is, I know, just me. Like, it's a personal preference.
But can I tell you, though, actually, in this episode, I had the brightness cranked all the way up on my iPad. And I was like, and then I like went to like tweet or something stupid. And I was like,
no, I know.
It's like worse than Solo. It's like so dark.
It's very dark.
It's a very dark space station, which makes sense. It's not run, it's barely keeping it together, But yeah, I liked, there were a couple of acting choices that I didn't agree with that both Kira and Odo do, though. And it's the same one. And it's when someone is speaking to them, they look down because they're ashamed, which is like something we do in real life. But it specifically happens in the last scene with Odo and Kira. She looks down and she's like, well, I'd be worried. And she goes, and then Odo goes, about our friendship. And then she goes, yeah. And then she looks up. But it would be so much more impactful if she had chosen an eyeline that was like a little up so we could see what's going on in her face, even though she is ashamed. Like, that's a very specific acting choice that I didn't like. Like, that's such a nitpick.
I wonder if they did it a couple ways and it's how
Yeah.
it came out in the edit.
Yeah, and that's fine too. I just like didn't much. I would have liked to see her have to look him in the eye. You know what I mean? Does that
Yeah.
make sense? It's more, there's more of a struggle there as opposed to, because like when you look away, it's because you can't handle the situation. And if you look away and then like for one beat and then come back up right away, it works really well. I do that all the time. That's a Tristan Miller classic. But if you're looking down the whole time, and he and Odo does it too when he's being talked down to by like the Cardassians at the beginning, and then it slowly stops happening, which is a nice bit of like physical acting. But it's still, it makes, I don't know, it's hard, specifically with Odo. It's already hard to read his face, and that makes it harder because his eyes are so small because of the prosthetics and this. And again, that's a very specific thing I didn't much care for, but it's literally maybe 30 seconds of the episode.
Yeah.
Maybe at most.
I'd give it about a 4.
I would say about the same.
Yeah.
About a 4. It's not the best. It's better than not a lot of the episodes, but it's not my favorite one.
No. It's no In the Pale Moonlight.
I don't know what that one is.
Oh.
I'm sure if you explained the plot to me, I'd remember, but I don't know. I don't listen to a Star Trek podcast because I'm not a nerd, Melissa.
Oh, okay.
I'm a loser. There's a huge difference.
In the Pale Moonlight is the one where Sisko and Garrick are
Make love.
Sisko, the only straight character on the show.
We don't know if Garrick's a boy.
So,
what are genders to other aliens? That's the whole. You don't know what's down there, baby.
all right. So we get Sisko coming to Garrick to be like, listen, I got this Romulan senator coming. We need to convince them to join the war. And so we need to fake this. I need your help. Like, basically, I need your help getting them to believe that the Cardassians are coming after them. And so they, like, do a fake transmission. And they're like, okay, it has to be a really good one. And the Romulan senator figures it out that it's a fake.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact has a very, very famous moment where he goes, it's a fake.
Oh, right.
And then they murder him and blame it on the Cardassians, and they join the war.
Yeah. So that is something. Is this the last DS9 episode we're going to cover?
No.
Oh, okay. Are you going to look up Voyager ones and have them out of context for you?
I don't think we're going to do that yet.
Oh, I want to. I think it'd be fun. I want you to not know what's going on. I love not knowing what's going on and being asked to review a piece of media. That is my favorite, one of my favorite genres of like, I guess like reaction, content of like what is happening. I have no idea who is this guy.
Maybe we can pepper in the Voyager ones.
It's fine. We don't need to. We're already doing 4 of these. How longer this is sustainable? And the listeners are like, "Where is Poirot?"
I know. Well, we're getting there.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
But yeah, I think maybe we're gonna do one more Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
And we've been told by a couple of our listeners a couple of TNG episodes we could cover as well. Mm-hmm. So we'll revisit Star Trek, but I think we'll do one more.
Okay.
For now.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it. All right. Sorry. Good evening. I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to a close.
Gavel sound. Oh my god, we've been recording for such a long time.